God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
What is up, my dudes? We're back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about why the Orioles were so bad. And to start off in this video, I wanted to bring to the table some of the things that the Orioles need to do in order to not have the historically bad season that was the 2018 Orioles. I figured it was great timing after the new year hit, and we're starting to hear about the end of free agency with Manny Machado and Bryce Harper probably going to be signing here in the next few weeks, maybe next month. And in reality, we're gearing up for the next season, for the 2019 season. It's going to be an exciting one. I think there's going to be a lot of surprising teams that have upgraded their offense and their defense this year, and just the whole outlook of every team just looks completely different from last year. I feel like there's a lot of changes that have gone on here in this offseason. It's been an exciting offseason, and there's a lot to talk about. But today, the focus is going to be on the Orioles. I'm probably going to do some more videos on free agency, the whole 2019 season is, maybe give my projections for the 2019 season, like with the standings. Just wanted to say that I've changed my channel a lot lately, so this is probably going to be here to stay, because I mean, as cool as it was to do the music videos I did, I really just have a huge passion for baseball, so I feel like I'm going to stick with baseball, as I have changed my name to Cam Talks MLB, and today we're going to be talking about the MLB, but more specifically, the Orioles. I can honestly say that I'm really excited to be an Orioles fan right now. And it may sound stupid, but after a losing season, although it may surprise you, the new Orioles era is happening now, and thanks to a lot of different changes over the past few months with the Orioles coaching staff, and with just like a lot of different changes have been going on, and I'm really excited that we have Mike Elias as the new GM, we have Brandon Hyde as our new manager, we just brought in a few bench coaches, I think, and we have a new scouting director for international players, and I think that's going to be really good because we need some players. I mean, anyway, I think this new staff is going to really bring out the full capabilities that these players have. We have a lot of new players that we gained from the trades of Manny Machado, Zach Britton, all the guys we traded away at mid-season, and I think this is going to be good for our team. I think we're going to probably bring up a lot of players. We're going to be testing a lot of things. Spring training is going to be interesting because we're going to be seeing all the different players that, you know, have been talked about, and just we brought up a few guys, Cedric Mullins, DJ Stewart, a few others, but we have been talking about these players for a long time, and so it was nice to see these guys come up and get their shot, and a few of them did pretty good. So I'm really excited to see what this new team is going to bring to the table. But to start off, I mean, that was just kind of like our intro to this, but to start off, not in the best way, but after watching the world's worst owner for your whole life, not to mention any names, Peter Angelos, but we as Orioles fans all know what we would say to Peter Angelos after last season. Peter Angelos,
I hate you!
There is a silver lining to everything, and I think the silver lining here is that he's getting really, really old, and the Angelos brothers, his sons, are going to be running the team more than he is, and they've made some pretty smart decisions this offseason. I'm really excited to talk about a few of them. So what you just saw there was a video of Mike Elias. He is going to be our new general manager. He's a really young guy. He was with the Astros before. He brought in an assistant general manager, also from the Astros. So these guys who are working with the stats, all of the sabermetrics, getting into why we had such a bad record. While one player can't completely change the outcome of a season, I think Chris Davis got pretty dang close to doing just that. Every time that Chris Davis walked to the plate during the regular season, this is how we reacted.
Hate, 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 double hate, loathe entirely.
If you can sum that guy up in one word, it would be just stupid. The fact that he signed a 7-year deal worth $161 million. What did he do? Last season, he put up the worst season in MLB history. Now just fathom this, okay? $23 million. That's a lot of money. $23 million to bat 150, have a negative 2.8 WAR. And if you don't know what WAR is, it's wins above replacement. It determines how good a player is, and it just calculates all these different things like how many runs they scored, home runs, and all that stuff. I've never seen this before. I'm just in awe of how bad this number is. But keep in mind, the Mookie Betts, the AL MVP, had a 10.9 WAR season last year. Yeah. negative 2.8 to 10.9 WAR. That was the range. Chris Davis was the worst. Mookie Betts was the best WAR-wise. I'm not saying he's the best player in general, but all right, enough about this guy. I do not want to rant about this guy forever. I probably already ranted about him for 5 minutes, but that's okay. But if we want to be better, we need a better staff, which we did with Brandon Hyde and Mike Elias as our manager and general manager, and I think we did a really good job there. Really excited to see how these guys are going to do. But just a thing on Brandon Hyde, I read this thing the other day that said he has won the championship at every level. So basically every level he's been in the minors, and with the Cubs, he's won the World Series pretty much. So you can have a guy who can, get your team to the playoffs and ultimately get a World Series championship, which is the goal, of course. I haven't seen the Orioles win a World Series, and I would like to. The best that I've seen them was back, and I'm pretty sure it was 2014 when they went up against the Royals in the ALCS. They got swept. So yeah, that was my only experience, like, getting that far into the postseason. The look of the team next year, it's looking okay. I mean, as much as, like, you look at third base and go, who's that? Like, you've probably never heard of that guy. I didn't either until he was brought up by the Orioles. But we need to bring up a lot of the young players. We have Austin Hayes, the right fielder. We have Ryan Mountcastle, who's been in the system. He's a third baseman / shortstop that was held down because Manny Machado was playing shortstop and third base. So he was pretty much out of a spot on the team. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over what was lacking last year and why we had such a bad year. I'm talking about what we could do better this year, but this is why the Orioles were so bad. Lack of starting pitching. This has been a problem for as long as I can remember the Orioles. We had, just off the top of my head, Chris Tillman, Ubaldo Jimenez. He was probably by far the worst Orioles pitcher ever. We had Jeremy Hellickson. We had Wade Miley, who eventually went on to, go to the ALCS with the Brewers and was amazing. I don't know where that came from. I can name you countless amount of pitchers that have been horrible with us, but go to other teams and they're good. Just to name a few, Wade Miley, Jake Arrieta, Pedro Strop. There's just so many pitchers that we've moved on from and have become way better somewhere else. Last year, the Orioles just didn't score runs enough. I mean, the combination of not scoring runs and not having your starting pitching pitch well, you give up 10 runs a game, you don't score any runs, that equals a loss. So in order to be able to win games, we have to be able to get starting pitching that can go the distance, because we have a lot of starting pitching, but none of them can go 5 innings. And the bullpen is pretty bad right now. We traded away Zach Britton, Brad Brock, Darren O'Day to the Braves and then the Yankees, etc. And so we need to get a better bullpen. We need to get better starting pitching. Pitching in general is a problem right now. I feel like our overall field is looking pretty good. I feel like we have some solid players that have been brought up and some players that probably should not have a job next year. We had a lot of individual players that had really bad seasons. And when you play bad, you don't need science to prove this, but when you have a bad team and you're losing that much, are you really that motivated to win? Probably not. And I think the Orioles players now are going to be really motivated to win because they have a coaching staff that actually cares enough, and they don't have a general manager that signs players like Chris Davis, Dan Duquette. Luckily, he's gone, and we have Mike Elias. It seems like he's not going to be doing those stupid decisions like Dan Duquette did. And there's something to be said about evaluating underrated talent. And with Moneyball, if you've ever seen that movie with the A's, I brought it up in a previous video before. They had a way of using money to find players that get on base. So basically, if you had a good on base percentage, he was on the team and he was, valuable player to your team, you're going to put him on. So they had to replace Jason Giambi, Jason Isringhausen, and they had to replace Johnny Damon. So they had to replace 3 guys, pretty much stars, that went on to different teams. But they found ways to do that, not using, money and spending $30 million on Bryce Harper a year. They didn't do that. So they didn't have the choice of doing that. They had 50-something million. If the Orioles get up to pace with things like this, if they can evaluate players better and get underrated talent onto the team, it will just change the Orioles forever. I think that the Orioles, give it a few years. I'm not saying that they're going to win the World Series in 2020 or anything like that, but I think if you give it a few years, the Orioles will be better again. So I wanted to give a shout out to what I'm about to say next. I asked some help. One of my friends, Nolan, he's an Orioles fan as well. Go check out his channel. The link to his channel in the description of this video, so go check it out. The things he was telling me were, we just had a bad GM, Dan Duquette. That's probably the biggest killer, is when you have a coaching staff, front office, that doesn't know what they're talking about. So Dan Duquette probably has had 0 baseball experience in his life. They bring him on to be the GM. This guy makes a bad signing, or 2 or 3, or okay, let's just be honest. Every signing he did was pretty much bad, except for Mark Trumbo that one year and Nelson Cruz that one year. That's about it. That's all I give Dan Duquette credit for. I mean, besides that, Chris Davis, he signed for too long. Ubaldo Jimenez, he signed for too long. He's traded away players that shouldn't have been traded away, and he's tried to get players that we probably shouldn't have gotten. I mean, just like mediocre players that we're trading for. Wade Miley, he was horrible at the time with the Mariners, and we traded for him, and he did even worse with us. I didn't think that was possible, but he made it happen. And another thing that Nolan said was, we traded away a lot of good players that we probably shouldn't have traded away. Jonathan Scope, we still had a year control left on him, and he was showing that he was improving, but we traded him away to the Brewers. He did absolutely horrible there. No surprise, he wanted to be on the Orioles because that's the team that drafted him, and now he's with the Twins because he got placed on waivers or whatever by the Brewers, and then he went to the Twins. If we can get a free agent or two that's an impact one, apparently Showalter and Duquette kept players away from certain sabermetrics. I didn't know this until no one told me this, but I looked into it, and it's actually true. The Buck Showalter and Dan Duquette were trying to keep players away from sabermetrics, which I thought was kind of ridiculous, because if it's going to help your team, why not use it? But they didn't want to. They thought that the traditional way was the better way, but we have people calculating launch angle, exit velo, velocity, everything is being calculated on where you're at with the pack. I don't really think, or back when Babe Ruth was playing, that he was worried about sabermetrics. I feel like that's some solid reasons why the Orioles were so bad. I think it's going to be good. I think the next few years are going to be better for the team. The front office has made some good changes, like I said like a million times this video. That being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, slap the like button, and I will be making more MLB videos, just like talking about free agency or whatever you guys want me to talk about. So let me know in the comments what you want me to talk about, and I'll see you guys next video. Later.
Just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger.